Davey, appreciate your time as always.
Good to be here, Stro. Always a pleasure.
Well, first off, what can fans expect once drivers take the track at Bristol in this final playoff race in the round of 16?
Chaos. Again, I think we saw a little bit of that at Atlanta. We saw a lot of that at Watkins Glen starting on lap 0 or 1, depending on how you slice it. And it's the last great Coliseum. It's Thunder Valley. It's Bristol, baby. It's a Saturday night race. It's the playoffs. It's a cutoff race. You're going to see a lot of beating, a lot of banging, a lot of short track tempers flaring. And I think that's going to make for a pretty good show on Saturday night. Not even to mention, we're bringing back the same tire that we had earlier in the spring, which caused a whole lot of chaos that nobody really saw coming. So if I'm the 4 drivers below the cut line, I may be feeling okay, given that Bristol lends itself to some unpredictability. And oh, by the way, 3 of the 4 drivers below the cut line were the top 3 finishers earlier in the spring and are pretty good historically at tire conservation. So I don't know what to expect, but I do know that there's going to be some craziness and there's going to be some chaos.
All right, so let's stick with those 4 drivers below the cut line. Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., and Harrison Burton enter this race below the cut line. So with those 4 drivers, does that surprise you?
Yeah, big time. I think Denny's obviously the biggest surprise, right? Especially, he's been so close so many times. Is this finally going to be his year? He's hashtag all in, right? And then we see at Atlanta, he was not all in. He was all in to get 20 points, which he fell a few points shy of. And that was just a really strange strategy that the 11 team, and more specifically, Denny, kind of overruled his crew chief, Chris Gabehart, and the team, saying, look, I don't feel good. This is my gut. I'm going to go with it. And it didn't work out for him. And then at Watkins Glen, unfortunately, a couple incidents on track had meant that they were mired back in the pack. They were a lap down for a lot of the race. But as Chris Gabehart so eloquently said, they took this piece of you-know-what and finished inside the top 25 with it. So now they're only 6 points out going to one of their best racetracks. I mean, Denny and the 11 team are really good at Bristol. And they like the big moments, right? They like to shine when the lights are the brightest. They've won the last 2 races at Bristol, including this race 1 year ago. There's no reason why you should think that Denny Hamlin's not going to be fast and not going to contend for the win. But with that being said, 6 points out, it's not a lot. But also, depending on what happens in front of him or behind him in the standings in the first 2 stages, those points could shake up a whole lot heading into the final stage of the first round. So I am surprised at the playoff cutoff right now. Martin Truex Jr. last year, he was a regular season champ. You think this year, his final year of full-time racing, going to go out on top with the bang? Hasn't been that way so far. And then Brad Keselowski, obviously his teammate, not in the playoffs, winning last weekend. He now sits below the cut line. So 3 veterans, 2 former champions below the cut line. I think that is surprising to me, Stro.
Out of those drivers, or maybe looking at the playoff field in its entirety right now, which driver do you think feels the most pressure to advance and make this year their year?
Probably Denny. Again, I feel like we've talked about Denny so much on Sirius XM, just every podcast I'm listening to, it's all Denny this, Denny that, Denny this, Denny that. But again, when you have your own podcast like Denny does, when you talk about it being your year like Denny does, and let me be clear, I would like nothing more than to see Denny finally break through and win that championship this year. But to have all those things going your way and to have a really good regular season, and then right before the postseason starts, you're hit with that big penalty, 10 playoff points taken away because of what happened to the engine that they used to win earlier this year at Bristol. Now you're below the cut line heading into the last race of the first round. I mean, I could understand this, Stro, if the 11 team was in a precarious spot heading into the round of 8 or maybe even the championship 4. But this is the first round, right? We're just getting rolling. And to have a potential championship favorite like Denny Hamlin and the 11 team below the cut line heading into the final race of a round, that is surprising to me. And that's why I think the 11 team and Denny Hamlin, whether they say it verbally or not, I truly believe that they do feel a little bit of pressure heading into Bristol.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on all of what you just said there. All right, final question, the last question we usually wrap up with ahead of a race weekend. Who you taking? Who's your pick?
Denny. I think he's going to come through. I really do. I mean, again, the past track record's one thing. Winning at this racetrack in big moments, that's another thing. I just feel like it's all coming together. I really do. And I love Chris Gabehart. I love what he said on the radio after they finished top 25 at Watkins Glen, really pumping the team up and saying that you guys deserve to go on to the next round. We all deserve to go on to the next round. And again, going to a place that Gabe Hart himself verbally said, our house, because Bristol has been their place and their house the last several times. I think I got to take him to win. I picked Denny Hamlin in my championship 4, so of course I think he's going to advance past this round. I don't think he needs to win the race to get into the round of 12, but I think that if you can do it, you might as well. So give me Denny Hamlin for the 3-peat at Bristol and to shut all those haters up. I think he's moving on.
All right, Davey, appreciate your time and insight as always.
Always appreciate you, Stro. Thanks for having me.